Okay, so here's gonna be the flip through. This is how it's closed. It became a super chunky monkey. So that's the front and this is the back. You can see the two holes and the woolies that are going through it. And so I'm going to open it up and basically show you each page and give you a little insight because I did post them all on Instagram. So, like I said earlier, since the last post was book pages, the journal itself, because I needed to make one, are comprised of me, of course, making master boards of book pages and then creating the actual pages of the journal. So, this is the title page or cover page with the challenge information, like we said earlier. Making memories, these are my initials. So, the front page doesn't have anything. I could maybe do some decorating at that point in time. So the first page was torn edges, day one. So basically, anything that I put on here, I tried to do some torn edges. I did decorate with some labels and some stickers and things like that. Didn't do any stencils, didn't do anything like super fancy. Put some page protectors on there, reinforcers. And I just did a piece of card with some torn scrapbook paper, book paper, a little die cut from the set that I got. It was a Hobby Lobby set. Made a pocket out of some torn black cardstock and embellished it with some additional torn paper. So torn edges, very present. Okay, then the next day was to be a touch of gold. So touch of gold, I don't know if you could see very well, but I'm gonna make it flash. Basically, there are little hot air balloons, rub-ons that I received from the dollar store, received as if they gave them to me. I bought. There's gold wash of some paint here and there. I made this little flip out pocket and I just put a frame that I had here and some gold splatters to highlight that touch of gold. There's a little secondary pocket here with some book pages with some gold wash over it, and then a tag using up some more of that torn paper and just adding some more gold splashes. So, oopsie, that was a touch of gold. Okay. Then day three, you can't see the thing right now, but day three was for botanical. So I made a flap out. And it's basically just a piece of scrapbook paper that I cut. And on the other side of it, I placed part of a map from an atlas and put some more stickers of botanicals and torn pages. And this is from like 49 in Market, a little card, and just made a little cluster, book page pocket, and then added in some little ephemera pieces because it's, you know, several pockets. So it's not a back pocket, but it has one. So I did some torn book page just for some flair, two little stickers that have not been utilized, and a little embellishment that was also the 49 in Market. And on my Instagram post, I highlighted that this happened to have Australia on it, which coincidentally is where Lee is from. So this is my botanical. I inked the edges and put some, you know, more reinforcers on this. Okay. The next day was something vintage. So I inked the edges with I think it was called Milled Violet. And I sourced an image from the internet of vintage ballerina, whatever I could find. This is a streamer paper from back in the day when, you know, I had a bag of stuff here and I was like, oh my goodness, for my daughter's parties and stuff. She's 17, so not vintage, vintage, but old enough that I still had this laying around to make it the tutu. This piece of ribbon is actually from the bookmark of an old ledger, so this is actually vintage. And then this paper is actually the beginnings of a piano roll, and I made this as another flap with a little Velcro dot, and then I just printed out some ballet slippers. There's the paper, the piano paper, some more of that crepe paper, and then the rest of that ribbon just to accent the ballerina shoes. And there it goes. So piano to remind me that it was piano paper. So that was our something vintage. The next day was to do a tag. So I mean, there've been tags already, and so I'm trying to think of ways to kind of be a little more different. And I thought tag sale, sales, fashion. That was my rambling thought. And so basically, I did make two tags. Let me take them out first and show you. So I made a tag. So I knew that I had these little guys, which were from probably, I think they were from Temu, a little book of like different fashion, and then it had like space to write information on it. So I just cut them down and made them like price tags. So like this is $3, that's $4. And then like back in the day, you would be able to like customize, and you'd go in and you'd be able to like, oh, I want, this dress and this fabric, etc. So I just took scraps of all the different types of fabrics that I had available to me, made myself one journaling card, did it again, made another journaling card with another bunch of fabrics that I have again. And on the back, there's just some washi that has words. And then this belly band has more tags, more priced out dresses. It has thread underneath here, and these little toppers coming off part is on a ribbon that's like the measuring tape. So yeah, things were trying to figure out how to stick all these things down sometimes was a little bit much. So let me just add a little bit of glue. And so that became the belly band. On the back, I have some stickers of items that are fashion related, and just stickers of like some botanicals and butterflies and things of that nature. Being that is sewing, I did some silver reinforcers. So we've got one tag in there, and then our second tag in there for tag. Okay, number 6 was one color. I did spin the wheel on my Instagram. I have the spinning of the wheel, and I got blue. So all I did was basically take some of this contact paper that I had that was actually on the bookcase that my daughter was throwing out. So I just ripped some pieces off, put them on the base, took another piece of blue paper, tore it, added it for a pocket, a little edge over here, and then added labels and faux postage stamps in the different blue colors. Then I received the book of the month, so I just added some label stickers that add a little bit of text to it. And I didn't even bother to really do anything with the back. This is from the book of the month, book B, that's the top of the B, but it's corrugated, and I made myself a little, journal card, added some flowers in a blue color, and then I made a second one with the rest of the book tag. And there's our one color, blue on blue on blue. And so there we have number 6. Number 7 was Stamp It. So I was thinking, oh, the most obvious is going to be to just stamp it with some stamps. So I wanted to think of another creative way to infer stamp it. So we have postage stamps. Now these are all from a digital that I purchased from someone on Dots. I don't know. I'll try to, it should be linked in the description. I'm going to try to remember to link them. I did make a tag with a pocket on it. So we have a tag. Put some more postage in it, some more stamps in it, and just stuck it there. And then I did this collage back here, and I did some freehand doodling of like the outline of what we think a postage stamp outline should look like. And then just, filled it in so that we have stamped it up. And these are lifted and in different levels. So that was day 7. Okay. Then we have day 8, which was words. So I really wasn't sure what to do. The next thing would have been to like, oh, let me put some like, we have a lot of text stamps and stuff. So the flip out was actually an envelope. So I had covered this and made a notch. So the other side had this black part already there. So I was at a loss. But I remembered I had these Tim Holtz big, tags. So I tried to look for words that kind of related to like the junk journaling of it all. Artist, junk, inspire, fun, laugh, live, lively, love, and then any other words I could find. And then what I did was I made also another little, so this is a pocket. It's got a little bit more of a lift because there's foam, because I made this little matchbook kind of journal. And I just put on stuff. It is other book pages, on a piece of packaging. And I just made myself a little journal that we could put more words in. So that was my interpretation for words, which was day 8, and that just gets tucked right there. Day 9 was lace, so I tried to make the things out of lace, and I did embellish with some paper items, but basically I have a pocket that I made with the lace. It has been coffee dyed, and then I actually made like a little a tag, so I have coffee dyed paper on the back for some stability. This is flat enough that you could write on it if you wanted to, and made it a little flap. This is a little pocket, so it inserts in there. And then over here, I took a couple more pieces of coffee dyed paper. Oh, I think the glue got away from me, and just made another little cluster of coffee dyed items and tucked it into another like shallow pocket here. So there it goes. That is my lace drawer, lace interpretation. The next one was worn. So worn, weathered, trying to think of a way to work out that idea. So I had some of this, what is it? Tim Holtz has this craft paper that you basically, it's this paper here. And if you distress it, you get this to come out. So what I did was, these are just little scrappies to put in there for direct decoration. I made 2 pockets out of that paper, distressed it up. This is another piece of paper from Graphic 45. I did distress this up. It can serve as a pocket, but I didn't put anything up there. And then I made a pocket as well here. So as I was doing this, I started getting denim vibes, and worn, like you've worn it, also kind of works with that. So these are just 2 tags, nothing fancy. Toppers made out of little scraps, some number washi, and I just put the 2 worn and weathered tags in here. And then the little bits, instead of tossing them, I just made them into a little kind of like free cluster, not distressed, so there would be a little bit of a comparison, not a comparison, contrast to what was going on here. And then I did distress this with, I think it was Mariner? Wow, something like that. Mariner, which is one of the blue inks that we have in distressings. So that was my worn. Then my scribble and my doodle. So this one is a little bit interesting. You can tell that this is a pocket and it's glare. So initially on the base, I put doodles of me just, with black and then the white to like kind of accent that. And then on washi paper sticker, I did a spirograph. That's an old toy. I'm not sure how many people have it nowadays. Onto a couple of pieces of the washi paper, cut them out and place them on there. I also had washi sticker that imitates stitching, so I put that. Then once that was done, I was like, well, what else am I going to add to this? So I thought about needing a pocket, but then to cover up everything already, I said, you know what? It needs to be clear. So this is just the bottom of a piece of a packaging. I just cut it off and secured it down with some washi tape. And I use the same washi tape and idea on these. These are 2 Post-its that had grid dots. So something different versus always being like packaging or cardboard. I made 2 tags. Well, not really tags, but 2 journal spots. And then, of course, I'm still covering it, but you can see through it. So the only thing is that what's on here with a little bit of wear. So not the right ink for acetate, but it got the job done for the day. Scribble and doodle. I think it's clever, and I don't mind it. It's like kind of a very subdued, neutral kind of look. All right. Then window. So this was the one that was the most not time consuming, but it was like, how am I going to do this? We know we want to use an envelope. And so I went a little bit crazy to town. So there are like 4 envelopes in here. So I'm going to show you the flip out. So the first one, we have botanicals featured. We have some tape here that was alcohol markered by me. It's clear labels, labels from Temu and stuff, flowers from the Dollar Tree, nothing crazy expensive. And of course, some old envelopes, not old, but you know, envelopes from like junk mail. So we flip this out once, we decorate the other side as well. You can clearly see that it's an envelope. I didn't cover the entirety to make it not look like an envelope. Then we are here, and then we see we have some stickers. Again, we see the new flower. We see another window. And then we open it this way. And then we have some decoration up there. And then we see the flower, and then we see a new window. And this one will open up again to the outside. Decoration here. We see the flower, and we still have a new flower. And we're going to open this one up finally to have the base. So you could journal over here. That would be covered for the most part. And then like this, and then like this, and then like that. So this was my window. And then on the top, because it is being attached completely, all these windows, these envelopes together, I made a little pocket so you could have some actual more journaling. And on the back, just some of those stickers and some gold lines between. I was kind of thinking of going for like a stained glass kind of thing, like window. So that was another kind of attempt to play on that. The next one, which was 13, was called Map. So again, taking parts of an atlas, I basically inked it up with, I think it's moss, in some green, and I made a little pocket tuck kind of thing. So I made this little fold, glued it together to make the pocket, and then only glued 2 to make the tuck. And so in here we have 2 elements. So we have this open, there's nothing in there, and then behind here, so you could see that, right? And so the first one contains the treasure map inside the map. And then the second one contains some more paper to take some notes. And if you notice, you know, if we're doing maps and we're doing treasure maps, there needs to be treasure to be found. So I put a bunch of coins, and then this is another digital from, I want to say maybe Tracy Fox, could be Junk Journal Studio. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember, but it's coordinates. She does tell you where these are. I don't know. I didn't keep that list because it was very hard to kind of like, am I going to write it on the back? But anyway, so this is my interpretation with the map and a little twist and a little fun on it by having a treasure map and then some treasure. Okay, the next one is Faded Photograph. So I initially put down, this is more washi sticker, printed out item. This is from Seven Plaza. This is her vintage photo digital. So I printed it on washi. And so I just laid it out to have a background. And then I started to place the different groups of the Tim Holtz people on it. And then I realized it was faded photograph. So I was like, yeah, that's not working. So in order to fade them, I just put some washi over to kind of like ghost them out. So that was my intention there. And then I decided to make an interactive and use more of his people here. And I faded them, I distressed them, and I also put pieces of washi to fade some of them out. Yes, I don't know why it's not coming all the way down. There we go. So anyway, so just to have a little, so there's no journaling, it's just a fun page to interact with. Okay, the next one, it says written in the margins. So I wasn't quite sure. I was thinking of doing a lot of like, oh, let me just write around the edge, but then what would I have in the middle? Then I just came up with the idea of, you know, what do I see? Being a teacher, you know, when you look around and you walk around and you see the kids working, they're doodling. And even as a teenager myself, you doodled. Where did you doodle? In the margin. So I took some small pieces of paper, and I made myself a margin that was very pronounced, and I doodled a bunch of things in there. I just stamped my name, and then I made some notes like the kid was taking notes. And so we have the doodling in the margin. And then this just gave me not construction book, what is it called? Composition book vibes. So I wanted that darkness there. And then I just took some stickers that felt like school. So we have an equation, we have first day of issue, I don't know, but we had this little tiny one. It says teachers report to parents. And I put that there, and then I put confidential because as a teacher, we're not supposed to share that information. I had coffee dyed some note paper, an index card, and some graph paper. So I just gave 3, made this into a pocket, and just gave 3 areas to, put some journaling on. So that was 15. 16 was postcard. So again, the easy way is just put a postcard. And so, yeah, I had a lot of digitals that I could have used, and I did use some digitals here, but let me take this out so you can see the full aspect of what's going on here. I took another envelope, a little longer, so I just left it the full length. I put a digital, and then I added some labels, and because, again, Lee's from Australia, I happened to see that one of the things matched the tones and it said Australia, so I put it there. Why not? These 2 are attached. They're 2 cards that are, printed. So I put them so they're at the top of the pocket that's there. Then inside here, I made a tag out of some packaging. So this is an actual postcard that came with the hole. I forgot what the hole was for. So I covered it completely in book paper. I added these 2 guys here and some other stamps. And then on this side, I added a piece of paper. And then I did some distressing on that same paper, old book page, and put some more of my stickers in here. These are just stickers that are printed on clear. I just printed whatever digital I had in black and white on it, so I would get little sections, and made myself like this tag. So that goes into the pocket. And then I even made this. So this is like a little mini journal. It's a little disheveled because the paper was kind of hard. I left this here, seems out of place because this was another postcard. It was a junk mailer that was actually this much bigger. So I added some book pages here for journaling, just the back of some of the pages. And then I had some other cards, pieces that were there. So I just added some pieces in here and just decorated it with, random book pages, library pages, labels, anything, leaving spots here and there so that you could tell that this was actually on a postcard, a junk mail postcard. And that's a little journal that now goes in there. So 16, postcard. Okay. 17, found in the forest. Again, some green. I always tell my kids that, you're looking at things, you're not seeing the forest because the trees are getting in your way. So sometimes we need to look at concepts and stuff as a big whole versus the tiny little details, and if you get hung up. So I just wanted this to kind of be hidden, the forest details to be hidden. So I took a piece of scrapbook paper that had all these leaves, and I jerry-rigged this little opening forest idea of a forest with the darkness. So we've got little critters, little bunnies outside. Then we have fungi. We have, I don't know what the hell that is. A hedgehog, and then some coffee dyed paper I just made into little tucks. There's a leaf that I tried to kind of make it like you don't see it because it blends in, but it's there, and the mama deer is behind there. So I just, tuck this in there like that. And then the baby deer is there, and I just tuck this in here. So we have some place to write, but it is found in the forest. Okay. Number 18 was bird. So I had one of these frames from the scrapbook kit that it came with, and they had stickers of different birds. So I added the birds to the stickers there using another piece of scrapbook page. On the back, you can see that I have some of that gold feather that is from the dollar store. And I found a sticker still with a fluttering heart, fluttering with the birds. I did some distressing. I found a few more stickers of feathers, and I did try to kind of wash some tea stain on top of it. When I went to put this on, I did pop it a little bit to make a pocket, so I needed something to go in the pocket. And so I freehand drew these two guys on coffee dye paper, cut them out, and now there are spaces to write a little note here and there. So, and I just tucked them in here because, you know, birds and their feathers. And that's my interpretation for bird. Okay. Then the next day is the 19th, and we have tea dye. So it's hard to see. I'm not trying to pull it and hold it up, but these are dangles. They just dangle here. I made tea twice. So I usually use 2 tea bags, and I actually kept the tea bags. So I use Earl Grey Twinnings, and I had 4 of them because I made tea twice. I took the tea bags and I actually put them on this tissue to let them dry out. And when I had them, I emptied out the grains of the tea bag, the grinds, whatever, the leaves. And so these are the tea bags here. They're behind each of the Twinnings, right? Twinnings containers, wrappers. So I said, why would I throw this out? So I made like a little pockety, it's not even a tuck because it's not going to hold anything, but just a little, you know, side thing there. And I put the strings on it as a little dangle. And inside each one, I'll just take out one. I just took some watercolor paper that I had that was off-white, some more of the rub-ons that are in black and white from the Dollar Tree, and just randomly put some words. I tea dyed the edges, so there are 4 little journaling spots on this guy here. So that is tea bag. So there you go. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Old person. So, old person, I was not sure what to do with that. So I was trying to think about what I could put. I figured most people would put older individuals, get pictures, etc. of older individuals, quite possibly. I had recently thrifted and gotten this yarn, which had a salt and pepper kind of look to it. So I started to think about the, my mom had salt and pepper-ish. My grandmother had salt and pepper-ish. Their hair never really turned this gray, but there was that salt and pepper was there. So I just took an envelope. I distressed with white. I figured, you know, we're always distressing with dark. So if I had a dark envelope, I would distress with a lighter color. So this is distressed with picket fence. Before putting that down, I thought of items that would be more grandma-ish, older person-ish, and that was like the dollies. And I kind of distressed this with pumice stone to kind of give it some color, some age to it. I thought about the things that my grandmother had. She always had her little napkin, you know, to rub her, you know, drippy nose or whatever the case is. And so I took a piece of scrapbook paper and just cut it with the decal edge and made this rough kind of, you know, handkerchief. And I just, you know, embellished it a little bit and then decided to monogram her initial J. Found a die cut there, and then because it doesn't feel, I mean, I know it's a napkin. I don't know, people would know that it was a napkin. So I just added a tissue to the bottom of it to tuck it in to here. So I did that. And then after I had done that, I was like, you know, it's good. It's okay. But I decided to make this braid of hair. I didn't want to just put yarn straight, even though, you know, she wore her hair straight. I wanted it to look like hair, and I think straight it wouldn't have looked like hair necessarily, but this you can tell I think is a braid. So I did that just to, you know that it's from a person, an older person. And then, you know, the candies, the grandmas always have the candies, so we have the Werthers. And then like the china and the old pictures and the florals, I just put some little stickers to here and there. And then I went back and I said, you know what, let me put the word abuela. So abuela is grandmother in Spanish. We didn't call her abuela. We call her something else. She had a family nickname, but my grandmother. So this is kind of like just a little bit of the things, you know, to remember. If I could put a ton of sugar on here, I would have, because she had a very sweet tooth. So that was old person. Then antique pattern. So I had some of these frames from the Dollar Tree, different styles, very old, vintagey, kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't say Victorian, but maybe. And this old vintage wallpaper that gives me this vibe of like being like it's embroidered, but it's wallpaper. And I backed a few sections of it in the different frames. I also had paper frames from that set still, and that blue paper, which also has a vintage old vibe. So what I did was I basically aged them up, distressed them, found a few little icons to add for some decoration, and then because they were staggered, I could make a pocket. So I did take some more of that, and on a book page I made myself a little book, and I actually kept like the part of the book that the what is it called, the oh my goodness, who it's for, like the dedication. And so I just thought that was cute to have the dedication in there. And this just goes back in here behind, and it's tucked there. So it's another frame of a different kind, and it's obvious or not so obvious. You can have some hidden journaling. All right, 22. 22 is Ticket. So Ticket is again very simple, going to be some tickets. So I did make a side tuck. I pulled a piece of cardstock, put some tape, and a bunch of tickets that I printed out from digital design from, I think it was Tracy Fox. And then I went into AI and I asked it to create images of tickets for an airplane, or tickets to ride a ship, tickets for train, and tickets for bus. Now, of course, they're all different eras, but that doesn't bother me. I took some blue tone paper that I had recently got. I think it's a really nice color. It's this bluish, greenish, muted. I don't know. It's really interesting. And I added the detail that makes it look kind of like a ticket. And then I distressed it on the other side with this burgundy. I think I picked the burgundy because of this lone little red ticket here. And also this, and also the reinforcers, because I've been putting my reinforcers on all of them. And then I was like, okay, let me see, by road or by water, by air or by rail. And so I wanted to stick them in there, but I did want some of them to be present. So I just kind of put them together and then stuck them in there. So we have two little journaling areas in there. And that is 22, which is Ticket. Which leaves us to 23, which is Book Page, which is where we started this video, which is what I started with, which is to make this whole journal using book pages for every single one of the pages. So I did want to have something here. So I do have some book pages to use and like a sampler at the end. So that is my 23 book page. And then I have just a blank one. I included the printout of this year's challenge hosted by Lee. And she did have some suggestions. I did print that out. I did not really look at it. I like prompts. I feel like they give me a good jumping off. I try to change them up. But this was some interesting things that she could, she added ideas for people, which I thought was wonderful because, people want to join and they feel a little like, oh my God, overwhelmed. She had something there. So there's another extra page that's just like a back. Maybe I'll do a reflection on it. So it's all over the place. So yes, when I want to look at it, it's free and open. But to close it up, I need to just tie up the top with a little bow. And then tie up the bottom with another little bow. And now she can go on my shelf. And I can say that this is, I guess, like maybe my second kind of journal that's really junky. Well, no, this is like really, none of this is junk. I don't know. Everybody's interpretation of junk journaling is different, but I really had fun doing this, and I'll look forward to it for next year. And so this guy will go on my bookshelf. So thank you for watching this video and looking at my flip through. I hope you will come back again. Please subscribe, send me a comment. What was your favorite day? And yeah, until next time, ciao ciao, bye.